trappers tend to start making stuff as you break it a lot.
Mississippi Outdoors.
Over about the last 40 years, fur prices have declined dramatically, and so that's led to a decrease in participation in things like recreational trapping or fur bearer harvest. As an example, in about 1980, our estimates are that about 75,000 raccoons were trapped annually in Mississippi. Today that number is probably closer to 10,000. And so with the decline in recreational trapping, with the decline in raccoon hunting, it's very possible that some areas may have predator populations that are much more abundant today than they would have been in the past.
Predators. Just saying the words aloud make most hunters bristle, and for good reasons too. Predators in the process of predation play a huge role in shaping the populations of many game species. Because of this, managing predators is an issue for many hunters and landowners to take seriously. This episode takes a look at the science behind predation and discusses how predators impact many of the game species that hunters hold so dear.
Predators will always be in the state of Mississippi. We'll always have bobcats and coyotes. Their numbers will cycle around their prey. We will never eliminate them, and nor should that be our goal. Control and keeping the numbers at a managed level is what our goal would be and what we would encourage landowners to do.
You know, predators help keep other species in balance. They help keep our rodent populations in balance, while they also help keep some of our game populations in balance as well. The one thing to remember on any type of predator management or any type of management program is first thing to do is consult a biologist before you start any type of management program on your property. Do the things that are simple first. Do the habitat management activities first. Do things as simple as doing controlled burns or clearing some lanes, and then move forward to doing more intensive management processes. And when you get to it, then you can institute a predator control program, trapping program such as that.
Predators, they shape almost everything about game populations and how those populations grow or shrink, how they use different habitats, why they use different habitats. You know, kind of the obvious direct way that people recognize predators having an impact is through actually killing other animals to eat. So, you know, a coyote kills a deer fawn, a bobcat kills a wild turkey. So that's, you know, directly influencing that individual animal, but also the population.
Predation is often looked at as a bad thing on game populations, but it is not always necessarily so. In many areas of the state, deer populations are very high, and the predation that is happening is actually helping to curb that burgeoning deer population. In other areas of the state, we feel that predators are having a substantial impact on white-tailed deer populations.
While they do keep some of these populations in check, they can actually reduce some of these populations that are lower than what hunters and what managers would want them to actually be. But one of the things to remember is that all of these run in cycles. Predator populations come up, prey populations will go down, prey populations will come up, and the predator populations will follow right behind them. So the predator-prey relationship is a cyclical process.
For landowners to address predation, I think the first step is to identify if you really have a predator problem. I mean, obviously, predators eat prey, predators eat the game species we like, but most game animals have the capacity to overcome predation and overcome predators, you know, through their reproduction and recruitment and all of that.
Before predator control should be taken into account, land managers should look toward, are predators actually causing a problem? They may be present, but they could be doing more harm than good. Coyotes, and more to a degree, and bobcats secondarily, are opportunists. They're going to take what's most available and the easiest prey. Oftentimes that is going to be small mammals such as mice and rats. Number one is going to be to manage its habitat properly. After that, predator control can be taken in if it is still causing an impact.
One of the things that we need to understand is that to address predators, you need to address everything on a property. You you need to look at habitat first and then start looking down the chain to look at predator management. But there are multiple different avenues that people can do from predator management standpoint, from manipulating habitat on their property to make it less advantageous for those predators. Also, they can institute a trapping program on their property, as well as having people to come on their property to actually hunt these predators. We do have businesses across the state of Mississippi now. We have nuisance wildlife trappers across the state of Mississippi that have gone into business, and they're doing removals on these properties. There are groups like the Mississippi Trappers Association, which landowners can get with, and they will put them in contact with some of the trappers that are members of their association that can help out on doing removals on properties across the state.
It's not too terribly expensive if someone wants to try to take out a few coons around their property and to decrease the nest robber population, obviously. Coons and skunks, possums. The sign is going to tell you where to set. One particular farm we're going to, that you can just about bet you can set anywhere there, because based on the amount of coyote tracks, they're all over this particular farm for whatever reason. Some farmers, particularly farmers that bag corn, they love for you to come catch coyotes and coons as well. They're a real nuisance to them. These bags that they're using to store corn in the field, they get commonly used by coyotes as a place of food source. The coyotes, not only will they eat the corn, but they get around here hunting for mice and rats. And you can see from these tracks, they run all over these bags. And this is generally what happens. They get on top of the bag and rip holes, either just digging for whatever they might have found. It may have already had a hole in there and a mouse got in it, and they just start digging, and before long you're going to have a big hole here because more animals are going to come along and start digging in it. Mice, rats will get in it, and it destroys their crops.
Coyotes can be controlled by trapping, but it takes intense trapping measures to do such. And timing is critically important if you're going to have an impact on a fawn crop. The trapping needs to occur just before the fawns are hitting the ground in June and July. So April-May trapping is the preferred time frame to have a real impact on a deer herd. You must be collecting data on a deer herd to know if predators are having an impact or not. Just seeing a few coyotes is not room and cause for going out and trying to remove all those coyotes. Collecting lactation data, collecting observation data on that deer herd is critical if you're going to manage that predator population. It has to be intense and well-timed. Just removing a few coyotes in December or January could actually increase the number of coyotes on a property during fawning season. As they're taken out and their territories are no longer patrolled, more coyotes may move in. So by taking a few, you may actually have more later.
This is prime time to coyote trap. Coyotes tend to be animals that like to open more. You see far more sign here. There's more food here. Those cotton fields, there's lots of rats, lots of rabbits, and there's more food for them here. They hunt these roads. These jaws are smooth and rolled under here. That reduces cutting, and the effect is more where if you hit your hand like that, it may bruise it a little bit, but if you hit it like that, it would cut it. And that's what we do to our traps there. Laminate the jaws, add 4 coils to them where they don't rock and wobble whenever they're on their feet, and also a shock spring to reduce the shudder to the leg and the shoulder whenever they're in the trap.
It's just a handcuff, simply is all it is. There ain't nothing, I mean, that's all it is to it.
Nowadays, we go to great lengths to make traps comfortable for the animals, and especially with the live market. There's no other tool to reduce these animals' population for control, for whatever, for around cattle or sheep, goat operations, or for the hunters and the landowners that want to manage their deer and turkeys. There's no better way than trapping.
Bobcats tend to focus primarily on cotton rats and rabbits, so they're going to have a much smaller impact. Some studies have shown that they'll take a mature deer per year, a large male bobcat will, and they will take a few fawns, but they tend to be less significant than coyotes, and when present, they are even less significant than bears. Hawks and owls are, well, they're certainly predators of ground nesting birds and small mammals, rabbits, squirrels, but we cannot do anything about that as they are protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act.
You know, we've got other predators like raccoons and possums as well. These are typically, they're a little bit slower moving animal. They're going to do more from a nest predation standpoint, and they're going to seek out easy food sources. They're going to seek out food sources that they don't have to necessarily run down and catch. They're going to seek something like a nest where they can go in and they can eat the eggs, or where they can find, you know, young of the year, you know, very small hatched chicks. They're also going to get into areas that can, you know, that are food sources like around feed sites. If you have feeders on properties, if you have bird feeders in your backyard, some people have problems with raccoons and possums and bird feeders in their backyard. Take feeders and put them in areas where the raccoons can't get to them. Put baffles on the bottom of your bird feeder, on the bottom of some of your feeders where these animals can't crawl up the pole and get to them. Once they do that, they'll move on to an area where they can find an easy food source. Predator management is just one tool in the toolbox. It comes along with other type of management programs that you need to come into on the property, whether it be habitat management, harvest management, and people management. Predator management is just another tool in the toolbox to be able to use.
For over 70 years, Mississippi Outdoors magazine has served the readers of the Magnolia State. The magazine contains interesting features such as wildlife photography and soul lunar tables. Subscriptions to the magazine are very inexpensive, and when you subscribe, you'll receive 6 bi-monthly issues containing articles on hunting and fishing in the state, public lakes, state parks, and our wildlife management areas. For more information, call our toll-free number at 1-888-874-5785. The Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks is proud to offer 2 world-class shooting facilities: Turcotte Shooting Range near Jackson and McHenry Shooting Range near Wiggins. Our shooting ranges are safe, affordable, and a great way to sharpen your skills or introduce someone new to shooting sports. We offer rifle, pistol, archery, sporting clay, skeet, and trap ranges, as well as a 5-stand range over water. Learn more at mdwfp.com.
The Mississippi Trappers Association is an organization dedicated to promoting ethical trapping. The association is a resource to connect together those with an interest in learning all of the tricks behind successful trapping. It is hard to find a better woodsman than an experienced trapper, and in this episode, we're going to ride along with several to find out their secrets.
Well, the Mississippi Trappers Association has been having a Trappers College for several years now. I was just fortunate enough this year myself to get involved. We had 2 or 3 landowners I went around just asking, look, we're fixing to put on a Trappers College. We're wanting to show young people how to trap coyotes, beavers, bobcats, any type of fur-bearing animal. In that area, we were pretty close to the Big Black River, so we had a resource that was very bountiful there because we had just about every fur bearer that ranges in the state of Mississippi roaming around those fields and swamps right in there. What we're going to be doing here today, we're going to be boiling some predator traps. If you don't take care of your traps, they wind up looking like this. and they get all corroded up and rusty. Your springs will start getting weak. So you want to take care of your traps. I'll leave them in the boiler, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, just depending on how much rust they have on them and how well they're dying. This trap right here has been boiled before, so it's not going to take very long. What I want to have when I get through is something that looks like this right here. The trap's got just a little bit of moisture on it. There's nothing wrong with that, because when I put it in this hot wax, if you'll notice the sounds just like you're putting French fries in there. That's the moisture on the trap. Just be real careful. You're gonna let it get a good boiling, let it cook good in the wax. You wanna make sure the trap's entirely covered. Now as I pull it out, I'll let it drip just over the wax there for just a moment. Be careful shaking it, because that wax is extremely hot. I'll just lay it down on the tin. I'll grab me another trap and I'm ready to go. If you got your traps done like this, put them up in a good clean box, as you can see like we have right here. Put a lid on them and you'll be ready to go when you get ready to go set your traps out. You don't have to worry about them being all stinky from being in the back of a truck or laying out here on the grass and getting covered. Then you'll be a whole lot better off to go when you set your traps.
When someone first starts out trying to catch coyotes, yeah, sure, you're gonna get a few dumb ones and catch them right off the bat, but the majority of the time it takes experience and a lot of trial and error before you really pick it up. But the main thing is knowing the animal's behavior.
I'm gonna put my set where I'm gonna get as close to where the coyotes are traveling as possible. I don't wanna have to pull him any further than I have to with a lure. I'm gonna chop out the place for the trap bed. This right here is a bullet stake. You drive it in the ground, and when you start to pull back up on it, it anchors itself. But this is just one I make on myself, so most trappers tend to start making stuff as you break it a lot. You can see this ground real hard, but we want to drive it down in there good. This is where you're gonna come into the bedding your trap part. If it wasn't bedded, if I just put the trap in here and that coyote steps on the corner of it, you see what's happening. I want to make sure if he steps anywhere on this trap, it's not going to move. So I'm going to bed it good around it. You can use all types of covers. Today I'm just using, a lot of times use wire screens. I'm just using a coffee filter today. But you just want it to fit inside your trap well. All this is doing is keeping dirt out from under my pan. Something else we do, as dry as it is right here, I wouldn't have to, but due to the weather we've been having lately, you can take peat moss. You can buy it at any of your co-ops or farm supply stores and put a little peat moss in there. And what that peat moss does, all it does is just keeps that, it holds the moisture. It keeps the moisture from getting under your trap. And you come back after a heavy rain, that peat moss will hold the dirt up. I'm just gonna drive a little hole. If you think about it, what does that look like? It looks almost like we're a mouse or something. That's what I'm trying to make it look like anyway. Like where something has dug up underneath that rock. Now I'm gonna place whichever type lure. They make land lures, different food lures, curiosity lures. Whatever you can think of, somebody's making it. And you just about have to try them all. When I say that, ask other trappers, what are you catching them with? Because you might start off in early part of November and be catching them with one thing. Later on in the year, in January and December, they change. I always put urine on sets. You don't have to. And sometimes you can catch a real smart coyote with nothing but urine. If you'll watch how your dog does, as soon as he smells where another dog urinated, he's gonna do it. He can't stand it, he's gonna come by and do it. But I'll sprinkle a little bit on my set. I'll run a little out into the road just in case he doesn't catch my lure. When he comes down that road, he's gonna catch wind of that urine and he'll follow it right back to the set, hopefully. That's what we want him to do anyway.
Well, right here, when you make one of these, your traps right here, That's a trap pan cover. Keeps the dirt from getting on the pan, and what you do is you're putting a lure down under here. What he wants to do is come up and stick his nose in this hole, and that puts his front feet right over that trap, right over that magic spot that he's got to step on. I mean, that coyote can step right here, he can step here, here. If he don't step right here, you don't have anything. Yes. That's what these blocks are for. If he wants to step up here, this one's in his way, this one's in his way, and this one's in his way. Puts him in a circle right here. That's a target area. If you can put him in that target area, you got him. And this lure that's under here, or bait, in this hole, right here, that's all it takes, just a little bit. He can't get to it, but that hole, he can smell it. It lets the smell escape and draws him over here to it. And when he's trying to figure out how to get that, he may walk all the way around here 2 or 3 times, but when he really gets comfortable, after he's not afraid of it anymore, you turn around and come to the front and step in the middle. That's what we're trying to do.
Trapping has a long history. Actually, it's got a history as far back as our country itself. And the people here, the early settlers, the trappers were the ones that opened the door to the West. They were the ones that were going through, because Europe was the big fur buyer. So the furs were all going back. So it was kind of a way of opening the path to the West. People were making their living off of trapping. They used it as they made their clothing to survive the harsh winters. They used it for food. There's more people that are involved in trapping now, like myself, for nuisance control, such as beavers, coyotes, hogs, and that's where we work very close with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife.
You know, studies have shown that 90% of the time, coyotes are going to travel man-made roads or man-made paths, bush hog roads. These field roads are just like highways for coyotes. It's easy to see if you drive around and just look for tracks and look for animal droppings in the road. You can easily see where their high traffic patterns are. You know, just like any other animal, they're going to stay close to a water source and close to their food source. And obviously in the Mississippi Delta, this time of year you have grown up field rows and a lot of pines and sloughs along the way. They don't have to go far.
You're trying to put them in a place where you know the coyote's already walking, and we're trying to blend them back in naturally. And as Wayne was talking about the different scents and things you use to try to pull him up here, and which would be urine here. There's a hole right here that similar as what you saw a moment ago, but it's just a different type of lure that was placed here. Right now, the coyotes just aren't moving that well because it's so hot. It's 94 degrees during the day right now, and it just takes a lot more time. We've had these traps out. These have only been out for one night, and we'll generally leave them out at least 14 nights before we even think about pulling them. At least 14 nights. And I know I've heard Wayne talk about leaving them out for months in different areas. So you got to be patient as well.
This is the outside edge of your trap, right here. You don't want him to step here, so you put a blocking in there. The other one should be right there. Put that one there. All you're trying to do is make him step in the middle of these, in this zone right here. You can micromanage him a little if you want to, putting smaller ones in here. They don't mind stepping on these, but if there's an open spot, they'd rather not step on these bigger clods because it's just hard on their feet. They just avoid them, step over them. So
even though I've been trapping for several years, it's always a great opportunity to participate with other trappers, because not only can you learn from them, but it's just, you know, everybody has different ways of doing things. There's no magic set, but there are other ideas that you can use that where you may have missed a coyote in the past, a new technique or a different looking set or a different place even might even allow you to catch that coyote.
the sky blue, back out on the trail again and again. Hiking and hunting and fishing the land. Time is time well spent.